Hello and welcome to this afternoon challenge. This is a rye whiskey taste challenge, and I have two rye whiskeys, and I think both are famous. One is really famous, one is pretty famous. Here is Sazerac Rye. You know, this is very well known. And a lot of people, including myself, have the impression that it's been on the market for a long, long time. But in fact, it has not. If it'll focus, I'll be happy. Let's try it again. So this is Sazerac Rye, straight rye whiskey. Sonia gave me the first bottle. Thank you, Sonia. And I bought the second one. Now in Louisiana, you can track this down sometimes for $19.99 a bottle or $18.99. I paid $18.99 for this bottle. Yeah, it's common here, and this thing will not focus. And it's not uncommon to find it on a discount. And it finally focused. Well, what do you know? What do you know? All right, so it's distilled in Louisiana, but mostly in Kentucky. But there is a distillery here that does it, Sazerac House in New Orleans. The vast majority is produced in Kentucky. And Burley Sullivan says, "You cheers back to you, Burley." And this was introduced in 2006, and I can prove that in a minute. Now, I'm not saying that Sazerac didn't make other rye whiskeys before this one, because I know they did, but this is the one that kind of took over the program in 2006. And anything else they were making, they cut it. All right. So here is Johnnie Walker High Rye, introduced in 2021. And I've watched videos, people saying, it's like $40 a bottle, $35, $38. Well, let me tell you right now, I paid $19.99 at Walmart. $19.99 at Walmart, and they still have bottles, but they're 28 cents more now. The price is going up 28 cents. How you like that? So, but yeah, I know a lot of y'all don't live in a place where Walmart sells liquor. But my Walmart does sell liquor, and I'm telling you the truth. I paid $19.99 for it, and they've got dozens of bottles still on the shelf. Okay, start pouring them up. Wooden cap, real cork, metal cap, twist cap. Produced in the United States, Louisiana, and Kentucky. Produced in Scotland. Worried I wouldn't get a grip on it. Here's the real cork. Which did focus for a second. All right, so it's got this long spout bottom, spout neck. Kind of they say an old-fashioned looking bottle, which I agree. I like it. It's painted on there. It's not a sticker that peels off. This is paint. Now there's no age statement, so they told me on the phone it's aged about 6 years, but the lady said, "I'm not telling you it's an age statement because, but it's about 6 years." But they told me on the Jack Daniels tour that if they make an age statement, they have to pay a certain tax on it. So the guy, he said, he's been working at Jack Daniels since he was 18 years old. He said, we age it 4 years, but I can't say that because if you give an age statement, you got to pay this tax, and we don't want to pay it. So it's non-age stated. He said, but I'm just telling you what it's aged, but I'm not going to say I'm telling you. So this bottle is a sticker, What I mean is it's a glass bottle, but it's got a sticker. All this is on a sticker. This is like plastic. You can see the plastic coating around it. And I saw other video reviews where people remarked on that. Like, why did they use a shrink wrap label on what a clear glass? I could start peeling it right here. I could peel this entire label off. It's very strange for a Johnnie Walker product, but there it is. Now we'll do the screen share. They're both copper. The Johnnie Walker is a little lighter. So it's saying right there, 2006 Sazerac Rye whiskey brand is launched. So I'm not getting that out of the air. It says it on their website. And 20 years ago, folks. And then here is Sazerac Rye. And we're not going to read all that, but they go into a lot of detail about it. Oh, and how you can make different cocktails, and they go into where the name Sazerac came from, and the aroma, fragrance of cloves, sweet vanilla, and anise and pepper. I'm not noticing all that, but anyway, the flavor notes of candy, spice, and crisp citrus. The finish is smooth with hint licorice. Well, and then they go into more detail. We're not going to go through all that. It's won many awards. Last year, Global Whiskey Challenge Gold Medal, Whiskey World Gold Medal, American Whiskey Masters Gold Medal, North American Bourbon and Whiskey Competition Gold Medal, Denver International Spirits Competition Gold Medal, the Ad Awards Gold Medal, International Spirits Challenge Gold Medal, and that's just last year. So definitely well regarded. Is it all hype? Well, how can it be hype if it's a blind? Most of these award events are blind. They don't. Here's the Johnnie Walker High Rye blended Scotch. 60% rye, aged in American oak barrels. Who's American oak barrels? Well, probably people like George Dickel, also owned by Diageo, and single malts from distilleries such as Cardew. And they're both 90. You can read about this more. If you feel that you want to read it, or if you never want to read it again, that's fine too. Okay. Sazerac Rye is a straight rye whiskey. What does that mean? Well, that means it's got no flavoring or coloring added. So that color is the real color. That's not caramel added. Okay. That's the color, dark copper. And that's the real flavor from the rye, the barley malt whiskey, the wheat whiskey, the corn, whatever they're putting in it. We know it's at least 51% rye, but they don't give the lineup, so we don't know how much rye is in it. And we know it's aged at least 4 years. Straight whiskey has to be aged. I'm sorry, slap myself. At least 2 years. Well, that's not a long time. So a straight whiskey can have no coloring or flavoring, and it has to be aged at least 2 years in new charred oak barrels. I mean, if it's straight, I'm sorry, if it's straight bourbon. This is straight rye, but it has to be new barrels, also new charred oak barrels. So we know that much. We know it's aged at least 2 years, but they told me on the phone about six. We know it's mostly rye, but we don't know the number. And we know it has no coloring or flavoring. Now, what about the Johnnie Walker High Rye? Well, we know it's at least 60% rye because it says it on the bottle, 60% rye. It's crafted from, now they give the ingredients here, rye, malted barley, and wheat. So we know the lineup. It's 60% rye, and the other 40% is malted barley and wheat of whatever percentage. They don't disclose that. The whiskey is aged in first fill and refill American oak casks. So they're using some American oak that are filled for the first time, and some are refills. And the distilleries are Cardew, Cameron Bridge, Tianich, Colilla, Clynelish, and Glen Kinchy. So they've got single malted whiskey coming from Glen Kinchy, Clynelish, Colilla, Tianich. I think Cameron Bridge is a grain whiskey, right? A grain, like corn, maize, whiskey, and Cardew. And the age statement is not on the bottle, but I can show you an age statement on Johnnie Walker Red Label. It's on there, but it's hard to see. Okay. Will I be able to tell them apart? I hope so. Yeah, grain, rye. You know that rye bread that's got that minty spiciness? That's what we're seeing here. So the appearance, the Johnnie Walker is a little lighter, but the aroma, this one is a little stronger, and I think it's a Sazerac. It's got a little bit more depth of flavor, a little more intense rye. Now, some people have remarked that Johnnie Walker High Rye is not a true Scotch. I don't know where they get that idea. It is a true Scotch. It's Scottish whiskey. It's made in Scotland. You say, well, it's blended. That means nothing. It's a blended Scotch whiskey. It's a blend of 60% rye and then 40% malted barley and wheat of whatever percentage. In Scotland, against having 60% rye, it's mostly a Scotch whiskey. And if you think otherwise, you're wrong. Now, this is a North American rye. Like I said, I can't say Kentucky because, like I said, and they don't claim it's Kentucky either, because some of it is distilled in Louisiana and they ship it back to Frankfurt for the further processing. Now, do they distill at the Sazerac House in New Orleans as a gimmick? Well, of course, it's a tourist gimmick. They don't really need to have a distillery there, but it's nice to visit. It's an interesting tour. Get to see how they make rye whiskey. So, yeah, it's worth it. Definitely worth it. They take you through all the steps. They don't just run you through like, okay, there, now get out and go to the gift shop. No, they spend time. The guys spent a lot of time with us. Went through all the steps, and there was no like time frame on it. It was like the tour wasn't timed. A great tour. A great tour. The Sazerac House in New Orleans. A great tour. Buffalo Trace, Frankfort, Kentucky. A fabulous tour. And Barton 1792. A fabulous tour. And I hope they restart those tours. They did stop them during the scamdemic, but maybe they'll restart them. So, taste time. Cheers. Okay, minty rye spice. Now, is it peppermint, spearmint? I'm not sure. It's some kind of mint, which is why I like rye whiskeys, because I like mint. I like that mentholated feeling, you know. So I like it a lot. Now, which one is it? We'll wait on that determination. There's the rye. There's less mint, maybe more body. It's hard to say. Very interesting idea that Johnnie Walker had. meaning Diageo head, to make a rye whiskey in Scotland. Very interesting. Controversial, apparently. Don't know why. I mean, why would that be controversial? Why would that be like a problem? Explain that to me. I don't know why. Okay. Are either one of these smoky? No, not in any way. So you're thinking of Scotch smoke? Get that thought out of your mind. Now, does it taste like what we would consider Scotch whiskey? No. Does it taste like what we would consider whiskey? Oh yeah, rye whiskey. So it's if you want to call it an aberration or whatever, okay, fine. But it's still from Scotland and it's blended with different grains, grain whiskey and malt whiskey. So ipso facto, it's a Scotch whiskey, and it's aged at least 3 years. Do they sell this in Scotland? Now that's a good question. I'm glad I asked it. I don't know the answer. Is it sold in Scotland or is it only for export? Great question. Don't have an answer. Medium body, a little softness in the finish. I mean, in the sip, mid range in the sip. Oh, didn't they say wheat on this thing? Rye, barley, and wheat. Oh, and wheat adds that softness to the mouthfeel. This must be the Johnnie Walker High Rye. Now, are they claiming it's a straight rye whiskey? Well, no, because in Scotland, those terms don't really apply. They don't really use the term straight rye or straight whiskey or bonded whiskey, those kind of things. Those are American legal terms. In Scotland, are they allowed to add caramel color into whiskey? Yes. Does this one have caramel color? Well, they don't claim it doesn't. Nowhere on the bottle does it say natural color, so I think you can pretty much figure that out. Is it common to use a green motif, green theme for rye? Yeah, and this has got the black and green. Now, Sazerac breaks convention because there's no green on there. It's just clear and white paint on clear. So most of these rye whiskeys you find, they got green. George Dickel Rye, Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye, Jim Beam Rye. It goes on Woodford Reserve Rye. But I have some others that aren't green labeled, like the Winchester. It's just gold and black and with white, I think, white. But that's a typical thing. Like ice beers, they always had like blue and silver for some reason, and black. Blue, silver, and black. I don't know why. And light beers would be like silver and blue. For whatever reason. Sugar. Candy sugar. Rock candy. That's it. Rock candy. Mint and rock candy. Well, what do you know? Sweet corn. Corn on the cob. Okay, gotcha. Medium body, dry finish. There's no way that can be a Scotch. That's pure Kentucky, Louisiana. Hey, but at least they're connected because Frankfort, Kentucky is connected to New Orleans because the Kentucky River connects to the Mississippi River. You can get on a boat and just start paddling and then go with the current. You'll get to New Orleans, assuming you could tolerate being out in the weather on a canoe. But yeah, they're connected. Louisiana and Kentucky are connected by water and now highways. United States Highway 51 starts here in my town and it goes all the way up, and it goes through Kentucky along the Mississippi River, and I've been on that part of it. When you think of Kentucky, you don't usually think of swamps and woods and river backwater, but that's what it's like over there. It's not mountainous or hilly, it's flatlands, marshlands, in some ways, swampland. My father was very interested. He was like, "Oh, Kentucky, we're here in Kentucky." KS says, "Hi, Ron. I picked up a Glenfiddich 12 and a Chivas Regal 12 and a 375 milliliter bottles over the weekend. I really like the Glenfiddich, and I think you'd enjoy it also." I know I would. Oh, yeah, no doubt. That's from William Grant and Sons, because that's where William Grant gets their single malt from Glenfiddich Distillery to make their Grant's blended whiskey. In fact, if you look at the Grant's blended whiskey label, it says Glenfiddich 1884, or does it say 1886? That doesn't matter, but it's on there. Yeah, so that's what's giving it that flavor, really. The flavors are not coming from the grain whiskey. That's pretty much neutral. Do I like Grants? Well, yeah, I pretty much like it. But I rather the Glenfiddich, the single malt component. Yeah, I would. The 12-year. Oh yeah. And I plan to buy it, so don't worry, I will. Just stick around 12, 13 years, and it's on. Johnnie Walker High Rye. Is it worthwhile? Certainly is. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Would I buy it again? Theoretically, yes, but I never do these repurchases typically because I'm going on to the next brand. But is it a beautiful product? Oh, it's really beautiful. It's so delicious. Oh, they did a great job. Now, they're taking the hits on it, but they don't care. They're making a lot of money. They're going to let the people do the baby cry. Do the baby cry and keep crying. Now, would I like to try some more Johnnie Walker variants? Certainly would. I'm still, even to this very day, now listen to this, folks. Even to this very day, I have still not tried Johnnie Walker Black, which goes back to 1867 when it was called Johnnie Walker Old Highland Rye Whiskey. Rye, I got that in my mind. Johnnie Walker Old Highland Whiskey, 12-year aged. And then in 1909, they renamed it to Johnnie Walker Black, 12-year aged. It was the same product. They had the Old Highland Whiskey, which was black labeled, and they had the Johnnie Walker Old Highland Whiskey red label, aged, is 3 years. But then they just rebranded it to Johnnie Walker red label and black label. But they do go back to 1867. But they used to be 80. But important point, Johnnie Walker Black and Johnnie Walker Red used to be 86.6 proof, 43.3% alcohol. But over the years, in the last 40 years, they quietly dropped it to 40%, 80 proof. Oh. KF says, is there any chance you'll buy the Johnnie Walker Platinum 18-year? I would say that's a very strong likelihood that I'll buy it. Yeah, and the green label. Yeah, very strong likelihood. I would not guarantee it, but I would say I would nearly guarantee it. Let's be honest. If I don't buy the Johnnie Walker green label and the Johnnie Walker 18-year Platinum, why am I drinking, why am I tasting whiskey? You're missing the point. You say, well, I review movies. I'm a movie reviewer. What did you think about The Exorcist and Jaws? Oh, I never saw those. Really, you're a movie reviewer, but you saw Xanadu. Okay. See what I mean? Yeah, you got to do those. You say, but I saw My Bodyguard. Yeah. Is that your tough bike? Is that your tough jacket? You know what I mean? I remember you and Dave really enjoyed the green label. Oh yeah, that was fabulous. Fabulous. He's got a lot left. He doesn't drink his liquor. He just saves it. Why would you want to drink it? Then it's gone. You can't have it and drink it at the same time. I give them a hard time, but I don't know. I just think you buy a beverage it's for actually drinking it, but maybe I'm confused. I think this is the Johnnie Walker, but I'm going to taste this one over here just to be sure. Bluegrass Dan says, hey, Ron, Happy New Year. My New Year resolution is to watch your videos every week. 52 promises I'll keep. That's a great revolution. I am tasting whiskey. That's a great resolution. Johnnie Walker Blue Label. Well, I did buy a bottle of that. And it was $242 after tax. And I was not pleased. And it only scored a 95. 9.5 out of 10. You say, well, that's a very high score. 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, but for $242 after tax, it should have been 100 out of 100. 10 out of 10, not, a 5% deficit. So that made me angry. But it was a wonderful product. I'm not disputing that. I just thought for the price point, it would be more wonderful. Is it the best blended scotch I ever bought? Definitely. Without question. There's no blended scotch I ever bought that would even approach Johnnie Walker Blue Label. But still in all, it was not quite up to what I had hoped. Okay. I think the Sazerac Rye is a better product. I think Sazerac Rye has more body, more flavor, more character, more consistency. Well, I can't say consistency. More, because I would have to go through these week after week, but more, just more overall better flavor. So I think the Sazerac Rye is the clear and present winner. I'm sorry, Johnnie Walker, Diageo. Y'all got to call me. You never sent me a single thing anyway. Not that they have to, but you know what I mean. I'm not on their payroll. I'm not on Diageo's payroll yet. And I'm not on Sazerac's payroll yet. But I got my email on the thing. We could work something out. We could work out a deal, and I'll be your greatest video reviewer of all time. But I never get called. Do not judge. You are not my boss. All right. Anyway, I just think the Sazerac is a little bit better. Now, in my case, the price point is very similar because I paid $19.99. True story, $19.99 for this. And I paid $18.99. So $1, not too important, but yeah. So we're going to give the win to America. I am in America. I am in America. We're going to give the win to the Sazerac Rye, the clear and present winner. Going to check my label as soon as I check the comments. It's an impressive gift to give when you need one. Yeah, I can't argue with that. How does Johnnie Walker High Rye compare to American rye whiskeys like Bullitt 95 Rye? Well, KS, we're going to find out because I got a bottle left. We're going to do a taste challenge. We're going to find out. I think it's going to lose, but we'll see. I'm a Maker's Mark ambassador guy. I don't know what Maker's Mark ambassador is. And I've had only one Maker's Mark in my life. That was the 46. So I'm sort of detached from Maker's Mark. I don't have a lot of experience with that product. Well, I have basically no experience with the product. So I'm not pro or anti. I just can't comment. I don't. But my first impression from tasting that one product was it's very good. All right. So We'll close out saying this is the Sazerac Rye, the clear and present winner. And I got it right. So, is the difference between these two profound? No, not really. Oh, thank you. It's there. It's like moderate. Like the difference is moderate. It's not profound. It's not minimal. It's like in between. So, I think the Sazerac Rye is a little bit better product. But in my case, I'm in Louisiana. I can't answer for other states because I only live in one state connected to horse racing. Okay. We have a big track here in New Orleans, the fairgrounds, and it's very historic. But I think that the Johnnie Walker is a really good product that they put on the market. I don't know how it's going to compete with the other rye whiskeys I have. I'm going to find out. It's a good attempt, at least, but no, it can't quite. Yeah, it doesn't quite compete with the Sazerac Rye, the old 19-year-old classic. Been a classic for 19 years. But yeah, it's a fabulous product. What I recommend Sazerac Rye, definitely, especially if you could find it like I did for $18.99. Would I recommend Johnnie Walker High Rye? Yeah, I would. It's an official whiskey of the royal household. It's produced under a royal warrant. It says that right here, under a royal warrant of the British royal family. King Charles III, King of England, Wales, the Isle of Man, the Channel Islands, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Tokelau, Papua New Guinea, the Falkland Islands, Anguilla, St. Helena, Gibraltar, Australia, New Zealand, so forth. Yeah, buy it. Why not? I paid $1 more. I paid $18.99 and $19.99. That's a great deal. Now, if I went back to Walmart today and bought it, and Walmart's still open for 5 more hours, well, 4 hours and 58 minutes, I could buy this for $20. Yeah, $20.27. $20.27. All right. So thanks, Ron. Stay safe and be well, says Bluegrass Dan. Trivia: FG Stretch is the longest in America. Oh, the fairgrounds, when they go around the oval. Really? It's been there since the 1870s, the fairgrounds. Okay. It's a very historic park, the New Orleans Fairgrounds. It has been there for over 150 years. So, yeah, I've never been there except for the Jazz Festival, New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. I've been there twice, but I've never been to an actual race. And honestly, folks, I've never been to a horse race. I've never been to an actual horse race. So, yeah. Cheers to Sazerac. Louisiana wins. Scotland loses. But the next time we come around, we're going to do the well, I have Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye. I have Jim Beam I think the Johnnie Walker Rye will beat the George Dickel because that thing tastes like Flintstone vitamins, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't think rye whiskey should taste like a Flintstone vitamin, but yeah, well, we'll see. We'll go through the whole progression. Have you tried any Macallan products? Uh, no, but that's in the offering. Yeah, I mean, I would obviously try them. Yes. Yeah, hear sirens. All right, y'all take care. Let's go watch some college basketball and then the National Socialist Football League.